I 35M cheated on my wife 36F. She left without telling me anything. How can I get her back? I know, I'm aware of my faults. I know I screwed up. She and I had something beautiful. She is still the love of my life. We were together for 10 years, 2 dating and 8 married. But I made a huge mistake and cheated on her. It was just once, just one damn time. Somehow she found out. I never knew how because I haven't been able to talk to her since then. I guess she found something on my phone. I came home that afternoon as usual and everything felt weird. The house felt emptier. I quickly realized that her things were gone. I panicked. I started calling her over and over, but her phone didn't even ring. Suddenly, I saw some papers on the table. She was divorcing me. Under the divorce papers, there was a note that said, "This is what you do with cheaters." That was the last thing I got from her, 2 years ago now. Of course, I called the contact information for her lawyer, who has been the only bridge between us. But he just told me that he was her legal representative and that she didn't want to see me. I fought. I got angry. But in the end, her lawyer just told me that it would be better if I got my own lawyer. I didn't want to. I absolutely refused to accept that 10 years of relationship would end like this. I know I have failed, but I always wanted to fix it. I know that if she gave me the chance, I could make that sweet and special girl I met more than 10 years ago fall in love with me again. I know that I can make her forgive me. After all, many couples go through similar things and get over it. Why can't we be one more couple in that statistic? Why after 8 years of marriage am I thrown away like garbage for a mistake? I don't deserve so much indifference. I haven't been able to see her or even hear her voice in 2 years. 2 years of not being able to see or talk to the person you love the most is too much of a punishment. This situation has destroyed me emotionally, mentally, and even physically. I ended up consuming an unhealthy amount of alcohol. Weeks of barely eating, not sleeping. I was a zombie for months. I was just functioning on automatic. I wanted to die, but I couldn't let myself die because I always held on to hope that she would come back. My therapist says it's really hard when you can't get closure from a relationship because your mind can't process that the relationship is over. So you're always thinking that person will knock on the door or that you'll wake up from sleep and they'll be there by your side. The divorce was finalized over a year ago. I'll be honest, I didn't make it easy. I didn't want to get divorced, and I still don't understand how we can be divorced. I asked for couples therapy, but she refused. I know from my lawyer that her lawyer advised her to go at least once or twice. But she refused. It took quite a while, but finally the divorce happened. I can't even describe the feeling. I felt and still feel like if a piece of me had been cut out. I know I hurt her, I know I failed, but I think we all deserve a second chance. When I couldn't take the pain anymore, I decided to start therapy. My therapist doesn't give me advice to get her back. He only focuses on me moving on with my life, encouraging me to meet new people and go out on dates. But I don't want to. At this point, I'm not even interested in sex anymore. A few days ago, something happened that completely shattered me. I was having a few beers with my friend at my house. Let's call him Nick. We were both pretty drunk. I started talking about my wife. And he said to me, "You should put more effort into getting over her. She's over you and is happy having a life away from you. You should do the same. You can't live in this self-pity all your life." Something in his words hit me, but not in the way he expected. He spoke with a lot of confidence that my wife is over me and is happy now. How does he know that? At this point, I got angry and started pressuring him to talk. He refused. I pressed as hard as I could. I cried. I begged him to tell me if he knew something. I needed to know something about her. Until he finally told me. His wife has been in contact with my wife for the last year. They were great friends, and I remember Sabrina, my friend's wife, being very sad about losing contact with my wife. The thing is that my wife went to live in Norway, got married to a guy there, and is about 7 months pregnant. I felt like dying. I literally felt like dying with this information. How could she do this to me? How could it be that while I was crying, getting drunk, missing her, and wanting to die every day, she was happily on the other side of the world? getting married, effing and getting pregnant by another guy. How could it be that she didn't have a child with me in many, many years, to the point that I thought she was infertile? But she got pregnant by this new guy so easily. Where did this guy come from? I have no answers for absolutely anything, and I feel like I can't go on with my life without these answers. The only thing I can think of is that she had revenge sex with the first Norwegian guy she came across and got pregnant and decided to keep the baby. Maybe she got married because she wanted to stay in that country legally, and I guess like in most countries, getting married is a good option for that. I don't know, these thoughts are killing me. I refuse to think that she is in love with him. I need to contact her, I need to talk to her, I need to know what's going on, because she acts like our 10-year history and 8-year marriage is nothing to her. I need advice on how to act. I feel the impulse of travel to where she is and look for her. But how could I do that? I don't know what city she's in, I don't know where she lives, I don't have a number to contact her. She closed her social media, her family is small, they don't live in the same country as me, and all of them blocked me. I'm totally lost. I don't know what to do at this point. I still want her back, yes, even pregnant. I feel like if this is a nightmare and I need to wake up now. Edit. I read almost all the comments, and when I say almost all, I really mean almost all. It's hard to process all the crap that's been said about me. I feel like you guys forget that you are talking to a person and not an inanimate object. I thought I might find more empathy by sharing my story here. Just 2 people feeling empathy towards me, and their comment made me feel better. I'm not looking for validation or for anyone to say that what I did is okay. I know it's not, and I have to live with that daily. I will try to respond, but of course I'll never be able to respond all the comments over here. I guess none of you know what it's like to have a broken heart and not be able to get over a person. You don't decide who you love, and you don't decide when you get over someone. It will happen when it have to. Those who doubt my story, unfortunately, is real. I would love this to be fake, but sadly it is not, and I have to live with this mess every day. Everyone assumes she's happy now. I don't know. I mean, how do you know? I haven't seen her in 2 years. I can't have any idea if she's happier or not. Being pregnant, it doesn't necessarily means happiness, and being married either. We don't really know the circumstances of this marriage. Maybe she got married because she got pregnant and felt alone in a country where she has no one, and she just hold on to the other guy. Of course I blame myself for this. This wouldn't have happened if I had been a better person and a better husband to her. But unfortunately, I can't change what I did wrong. The only thing I could do is try to make it up to her. But how do you make it up to someone who doesn't want to give you the chance to do so? Some people said that she doesn't owe me a second chance. That was hard to read, but I understand that maybe she doesn't have to. I never openly blamed her for the infertility issues. It was just a thought. We both went to the doctor, and in both cases, the tests revealed that everything was fine. I never understood why we couldn't conceive, and the thought that she was infertile did cross my mind, and of course the idea that I was too. But in most cases of infertility, it is due to a female factor. Maybe that's why I thought that. Horrible things were said like I would hurt my ex-wife if she were here. I never physically hurt her, and I never will. I am not an abusive person. I am not a monster. I know it's hard to empathize with me. I know I screwed up. I know I hurt her way beyond what I can say. But I am not a monster or a narcissist. Some people said that I never loved her, otherwise I wouldn't have cheated on her. This statement doesn't seem fair to me. You think you can kidnap the concept of love and tell another person what his real feelings are. You think you are inside my head or heart. Only then would you know what I feel. You can't tell me that I don't love her. There hasn't been a day since she left that I don't regret it. No one can tell me this isn't love. Lastly, humans are more complex than most people here think. Just because I cheated on her doesn't mean I don't love her or that I don't have feelings. I called what I did a mistake because how else would I call it? I thought part of accepting blame is accepting that was my mistake. But everyone here take those words as if I trying to twist the situation when that's not the case. You've completely twisted my words. I know how much I hurt her. Maybe in my post I'm focusing on myself because I was never able to explain myself to her. Since then, for me, it's been one attempt after another to put together a story in my head that doesn't make sense. I lost everything from one moment to the next. I simply tried to be open with my feelings, but it doesn't seem to work here. Not for me at least. I know the damage I did to her. This woman left her life, the country she emigrated to, her friends, even her job. No one does that for a breakup unless you're going through some level of absolute pain. I understand that. I can see and feel the pain I put her through, and that makes me feel even more guilty. Honestly, I'm going to respond to some comments below and then log off of Reddit for a couple days until I feel in a better place. Update. These days have been very strange. At times I feel numb and at others desperate. A lot of things have happened. I want to start by answering something and then I will update. Some people asked why Norway? I don't know exactly, but she is a polyglot. She speaks 6 languages. Many of these languages are connected to cultures that she always liked. Norwegian is just one of them. She has always been interested in Norwegian culture. She has been there before, but she is also interested in other cultures and speaks other languages, so for me that was never an indicator that she might have gone to this country. Regarding the update, the first thing I will say is that the post reached some people in my circle. Sabrina's sister is on Reddit. She knows the story and realized it was me. She told Sabrina. Sabrina is angry at Nick for revealing information. Nick is angry at me for posting on Reddit, and because he says I pressured him to talk. I am angry at both of them for being 2 a-holes who watched me suffer for 2 years and decided not to help me. They didn't care about my marriage. Why should I care about their marriage? Sabrina could have given me my ex-wife's phone number a long time ago, but she decided to prioritize her friendship with my ex instead of helping 2 friends mend their marriage. Meanwhile, no one cared about my feelings. I'm done with them at this point. Regarding to my ex-wife, I've been thinking a lot. She can't just disappear. I convinced myself that if I searched hard enough I could find something related to her. I follow some of her relatives from a fake Instagram account, but I never found anything related to her. I searched a lot, really a lot, and found a name that I had seen before, but that hadn't caught my attention until then. It was a lady with a name that is not typical in the United States or my wife's country. She is not American, and a very strange last name. I went to her Instagram profile and she had no pictures or anything, just a small profile picture that you can barely see. I decided to look her up on Facebook and found the same lady with the same profile picture. Only her Facebook profile is quite open. She is indeed a lady from Norway. I checked everything I could on this profile. I was convinced that it had something to do with my wife. How else would a relative of hers have this woman in their friends? I saw a lot of pictures, people, plants, mountains, gardens, lakes, flowers, typical things that an older lady posts, until I came across a picture where my ex was dressed as a bride hugging a guy. I had to translate the text. The lady was congratulating her son on his wedding. There were a few more pictures, not many. There were even some members of my ex's family in the wedding pictures. The dates of the pictures were from a year ago. A year ago, she married this guy. I don't understand. How could it happen so fast? When did she meet him? I honestly thought she got married after she got pregnant, not before. This baffles me even more. After that, I found another picture. It was a group picture, and she was far away, but of course I recognized her. The same guy was with his hands on her shoulders, hugging her. This picture was from February 2023. To be clear, she left in May 2022. How is she with someone in February 2023? Only 9 months, and she's already in a stable enough relationship that he's introduced her to his family. What the hell is going on here? I feel like I have even more questions in my head now. I know I shouldn't be upset, but I am. I know I lost her because I was an idiot, but it's hard to get this feeling out of my head right now. Anyways, for those who had imagined this fantasy that my ex is with some kind of Norwegian Chris Hemsworth, let me tell you it quotes not like that. This guy is too tall, too blonde, too pale, hair too long and kind of chunky to be honest. He looks more like the old cartoon of Vikings and is definitely not a Chris Hemsworth. I managed to find his FB profile, but he has almost nothing there. His profile says he's an engineer. An engineer who wears metal band t-shirts at 38. I don't know how to take this because I'm an engineer myself, just in a different field. Why would she look for a man with the same profession as me? My wife has always liked heavy metal, which I always found nasty, but I never complained. After all, your partner doesn't have to have the same musical tastes as you. I mention this because maybe that was the way they connected. She used to connect easily with people who liked the same type of music. I don't know, but I honestly look at it and think, where did she get this guy from? I meant he can definitely do better than this. The pregnancy thing still messes with my head. I try not to think about it. I can't understand it. I'm not infertile like the comments suggest. I've been to the doctor and I know I'm not. But God, it kills me to think that she's going to have another man's child. I don't get it. I feel like this is beyond anything I ever imagined. And no, I'm not going to go to Norway. I'm not going to try to contact her. I still want to see her and talk to her. But I obviously can't force her to do that. I have too much to deal with right now and too much to talk about in therapy. If by any chance this post reaches my ex, I want you to know that I still love you. You know where to contact me. If by any chance this post reaches the new dude, I want you to know the only reason you have a chance with this woman is because a big idiot halfway across the world completely ruined it. You most probably met a woman who was probably very broken from her divorce. You took advantage of her situation and trapped her with a baby. You don't know how to play fair. Sabrina and Nick fu. Next story. I'm leaving my BF because of a prenup. I'm leaving because my BF asked me first to prenup. I'm 34F breaking up with my boyfriend 34M because of a prenup. I've been with my boyfriend for about 2 years. Everything is going well and we love each other. We've been discussing marriage, and he mentioned he would not marry me without a prenup. We discussed this in detail, and I did not like what he proposed. His family owns a lot of property, land, and has lots of savings. After marriage, he wants me to move into one of the houses his parents own. I told him I am uncomfortable building a life and a family in a house I have no ownership in, and he didn't understand. I told him I'd prefer to rent a place together, or we can live temporarily in one of his parents' houses and look at property together, but he refused. He said he liked the houses his parents and he already owned. He said he would not buy other property. He said he would not sell any of his property to buy one with me. He told me if I wanted to own property, I could save up money by living in one of these properties and invest in one myself. Problem is, he would be entitled to half if we divorce, since my purchase would happen after marriage. He told me I could pay his parents' rent if I feel like I don't belong on the property. He told me I could buy half of the house we live in from his parents. Problem is, I don't like the houses that him or his parents own. They also have a lot of stuff, and I feel like there's no space for me. I want to look at houses, I want to pick the place I live in, and I want to do it with my partner. I've made this clear to him over and over, but he won't budge. He earns more than me, and he has more assets than me for sure. He made it clear he was afraid I was a gold digger, and he wants to protect himself and his family's assets from me, which I can understand. This whole thing has made me feel very weird. This topic has come up before, and it has always made me feel very small. It makes me feel like all he cares about are his assets. It makes me feel like he wants me as long as I fit into the life he already built, and doesn't care to build one with me. It makes me feel like a gold digger. He has enough money to retire right now and live comfortably. I don't. He basically told me that whatever money he earns now, he can spend, so he won't be investing in too much anymore. He expects our earnings and our savings after marriage to be split, which I feel off about. I'm sure this is normal for some people. I'm sure other people would be happy to be with someone who was well off. I am not. I want someone beside me building a life with me. Not someone who has built a life with his parents and wants me as long as I behave and fits into his life, which is how he's been making me feel. So I'm leaving him. I welcome opinions on this. But yeah, it's been too long that this has made me feel off about our relationship. I'm protecting my peace and leaving him with all his houses and money. TLDR, BF and I are talking about marriage. Boyfriend and his family are well off. He wants me to live in a house I don't own, doesn't want to look at houses with me, wants half of post-prenup assets, so I'm leaving. Update. So many things have happened. This is a bit of a rant, and I know I'm missing parts, but I'll try to cover the important bits. Before I start, here's some important context. I have a stable and rewarding career, and though I don't earn as much as him, I am very happy with what I can afford. My parents have always taught me that women should be independent, and I've taken that to heart. I live below my means, which has allowed me to put aside money for savings and investments. A lot of comments have mentioned that I should take the free rent, and that it would somehow set me forward in life. But for me, giving up my sense of autonomy and control over my home, my safe space, is not worth the potential savings. I lived with my parents and saved aggressively until I was 30, so I am lucky enough to be in a position where I can comfortably afford rent or a mortgage by myself. Plus, he expected the living situation to be permanent. I would not move into a house owned by someone else just to save on rent. Would it be nice to save $2,000 a month? Sure. But most people pay rent, and I am not an exception. If I really wanted that, I could move back in with my parents. But again, autonomy is very important to me. Also, if he's this stubborn now, I don't see how this situation could be improved later after I already moved in. I could also counter the prenup and make it so all my accumulated assets stay mine, or put in a clause that I'll be compensated for any children we have, or put that I'd get alimony or at least have a roof over my head in case we divorce. But for me, that feels overly transactional. It also gives me the vibes that I'm going to be living with a roommate who I sleep with and might have babies with. Not a partner. I prefer to feel like we're in it together. He can keep what was his, but I want to build up what is ours. Also, if everything is completely split, it'll open up a new can of worms. How will our expenses be split if I'm working and he's just chilling? What happens when we have children? He has money saved for them, but will I get a say in how we spend that money? I know these can be worked out, but this is not the type of marriage I want. I can't predict everything that will happen, and I don't think I can capture it in a contract. And it's already been so heartbreaking for me. I don't want to go through more. Anyways, yada yada yada, I'll just say that it felt like I was being stripped of my autonomy, stonewalled, and treated like a hostage. Okay, on to updates. So, I told him I needed to end this relationship. I appreciated and truly enjoyed my time with him, but our financial values and the preferred married lifestyle just don't match. It was a quick and easy conversation TBH. I expected the breakup to be a bit of a process, not a one-and-done thing, since our lives overlap a lot. I'm also in contact with a lot of his family, so off-key during this whole time. A lot of them got involved, but blah blah. Not super relevant to updates. Talk with his parents, okay. I love his parents. I had a great relationship with them. I would go over to their house. We would have food, chat, watch TV. Sometimes I would go to the parties they host without my ex if he was busy. A few days after my talk with my ex, I went over to say goodbye. I didn't know if the prenup was family enforced or not, so I kept it very general and mainly focused on how the situation made me feel and what I was looking for in a relationship. His parents were shocked Pikachu face when I told them why I was leaving. I'm going to bullet point the rest. His parents really want grandbabies. However, ex's younger brother and Sil do not want kids. They were so happy when I came into their lives and she found out I wanted kids. His parents had created their wealth together, with his dad being the major breadwinner for most of the relationship. His mom was shocked at what he was offering me, saying these aren't the values he was raised with. She had been effectively retired since almost 15 years ago. And she said ex's dad never made her feel uncomfortable because of the difference in earning potential. They told me that they built their assets for themselves and their children. They said that includes whoever their children decided to share their lives with. They have many properties. However, they also have enough investments that they can live off of those. They told me their plan was to sign over a house of our choosing as a wedding gift, or sell a house and give us cash so we could buy a house we both wanted. As they got older, they planned to evenly divide their properties between my ex and his brother, since they wouldn't want to manage the properties anymore and live off investments. Ex's mom said she would have made sure my name was on my ex's portion, especially since we were wanting kids. They mentioned investments will go directly into funds for grandkids after their passing. Maybe this is what my ex was referring to when he said his children would be set. Bit morbid though. Ex's mom told me that the mother of her grandbabies would be taken care of, and she wanted us to be on equal footing while raising a family. To be honest, this conversation was kind of like a weight off my chest. I always loved his family and never felt excluded, but the prenup talks left me confused and hurt. What they said fit with what I knew from my ex and them before. I'd be lying if I said I didn't start imagining this life. I talked to my ex again. I'll bullet point this too. Basically, he told me. His dad had joked before about how he hoped him and his brother would not find gold diggers, and that's where that comment came from. He felt responsibility to protect his parents' assets, since he didn't feel entitled to them, so by extension, I wasn't entitled either. In his culture, sons carry on the family line, so he felt he had to keep his assets in the family line, which I'm not part of, but any sons we had would be. Most of the assets he's worried about are under his parents' name, and he had never asked for their opinion on what to do. He just did what he thought he should be. He also said he isn't that well off, and that his assets shouldn't come between us. This is still confusing to me. Isn't this whole thing because he was well off and wanted to hold on to what he had and not create a shared lifestyle? I think maybe he meant he didn't own much, and most things actually were under his parents' name. He felt he was punching above his weight with me and was scared I would leave him. He was afraid I was with him because of his finances, since that was the only thing he had more of, whereas he said I am intelligent, hardworking, beautiful, blah blah. He was scared about moving forward with the relationship, but instead of communicating, he became defensive. To me, it seems like he said and did things because he was feeling deeply insecure. He had made a couple passing comments before about me being more beautiful than him, or how I'm more hardworking, etc., etc., but I had always taken them as compliments, not self-deprecating comments towards himself. He's such a caring, funny, and intelligent person, just in a different way than me. Also, I know he's not as confident as he comes across, but I had no idea that his insecurities ran this deep. He also apologized over and over about how he didn't mean to make me feel like an outsider to him and his parents, and insisted that he wanted to share a life with me. He said his insecurities and fear got the best of him, and he didn't handle it well. He had taken advantage of my patience and lashed out because he felt inadequate and scared. It broke my heart because I think all this could have been avoided. We've been through this song and dance before many times, where he would feel some sort of way, then act out as he's processing it. Until now, I always stay through it and we move on. But it's never gone on for so long. But I guess the issues we've faced before were smaller compared to mapping out our whole lives. I've pushed him to seek individual counseling, and we've attended couples counseling together. But I can't force him to sit and identify his emotions or employ the tools we were taught. The prenup conversation happened over a long period of time. He had so many chances to pump the brakes and reflect on what he was saying, and simply just listen to me. But he didn't. He then sat in front of me saying that everything he said before was not what he meant. He said he would be happy to take care of me and our future kids. We could buy a house together, or rent if I wanted to, because now he wasn't scared about creating a life together. completely opposite to everything he had been saying. But how unsettling is it that he seemed so completely comfortable and confident in the hurtful words he previously said, and was okay with placing me in a very unequal position in the relationship, despite me continuously trying to articulate what I wanted and how he was making me feel. He didn't even consider my side over months. I know I have a good deal with what his parents are offering, and I know him and I get along super well. But I'm not marrying his parents. I can't have his mom with us during every argument or life decision we take. Thinking back, I can count on one hand where we've run into issues, and he was able to address it without acting up. He's such a nice guy, but I can't be his garbage bin every time he needs to sort out his feelings. It's already worn me down. He's a grown man, he's intelligent and intuitive. He's had 2 years to learn how to communicate with me, and he's not. I honestly can't tell if what he said to me is genuine, or coming from his parents, or coming from a fear of losing me. I could give him the benefit of the doubt again, and move forward with the relationship, as I've done in the past. But I'm tired. I think this is a fixable problem, but I also have not seen any improvement since we started dating. If anything, this prolonged experience has made me feel it's gotten worse. I will not make the mistake of investing in a man because of what he could be, instead of who he is. If the last few months are a testament to how he handles stressful situations, I can only take things as they are, and assume they won't change. This whole thing has left me sour. I don't need too much, but I do expect to be treated with love and support, even during times of disagreement. I cannot just forget the feelings and words I've felt and heard over the last couple of months. I can't just unhear and unknow that he is afraid I'm a gold digger. That was just one of many comments that really hurt me. I think life will have a lot more ups and downs, and I cannot imagine what kind of difficulties we'll face if this is how we communicate, even after identifying it and working on it in therapy. For these reasons, I'm still choosing to walk away. Very diff from leaving because of prenup, but it is leaving nonetheless. And TBH, this hurts more. I know it will hurt for a while, but I pray I'll be avoiding heartache and complications in the future. Who knows? If it was meant to be, maybe we'll find our way back. For now, I've told him and his family I need space and time. I know that it seems like I'm giving up a lot, but there are things I can't put in a post. I actually wrote the above quite early, but I didn't post because it didn't feel like it was over. But now, after this time, I know it is. It's been tough, and it's only been a couple months, but I'm sure I made the right call. It's tough watching everyone coupled up and having children, but it is what it is. I'm proud of myself for leaving, and I'm slowly healing. Thank you everyone for your comments and DMs. Sorry I couldn't get back to everyone, but I appreciate you all. Next story. I am 28, know that my son isn't mine, but my wife F26 doesn't think that I do. How do I have this conversation with her? Hello all, throwaway. I made this as short as possible, I'm sorry. I've been married to my wife for 3 years and together for 5. Our son just turned 2 in early June, and to put it bluntly, he looks biracial. His skin is darker than I thought it would have been. He has curly hair when we most certainly don't, and his features just don't look like the standard white people which we are. He's a beautiful boy, he just doesn't look 100% white. I asked my wife a few days after his birthday if she thought our son looked white. She said yes and asked if I'm accusing her of something. I said no because I genuinely wasn't, I just was wondering. I know genetics can be weird sometimes. We fought and I apologized, but I wasn't able to shake the feeling, so I did the crappy thing and got a test done behind my wife's back. The results came in a few days ago, and I'm not my son's dad. I feel conflicted about my son. I love him, but knowing that he isn't mine is leaving a sour taste in my mouth. Our son definitely prefers me and he's my world, but he's just not biologically mine. I don't know what to make of my feelings. I'm a mix of emotions about my wife. I don't know how to talk to her. I'm angry, confused, and feeling very, very betrayed. I'm heartbroken too. I still love her. She's working at the moment, and I don't want to disturb her at her office, but I feel like I'm going to explode. This is all very difficult for me to process, and I can't think of when my wife cheated. We always had each other's locations for safety purposes, and I can't think of any suspicious friends that she has or had. We go on regular dates, and our bedroom isn't dead. We were also trying for a baby around that time, so I don't know when she cheated on me or why. Ever since we married, she's been over the moon, constantly showing off her ring and talking about me. She's like a teenager in love. How do I tell her that I know? Or get that ball rolling? I don't know what I want to do yet, as stupid as that sounds. I've been stewing on it for a few days, but I still love her so much. Maybe someone can knock some sense into me? I need help. Edit. I'm becoming overwhelmed with the comments. I'm sorry. I wanted to reply to a few, but I can't. I just wanted to say thank you for commenting, and that I also hope our baby was just swapped, as terrible as that sounds. Our baby didn't look biracial at birth. As he got older, he started developing features that didn't look entirely like ours. If our son's skin didn't darken over time, I don't think I ever would have questioned anything. The other features can be explained as a fun little surprise or a few generation hops maybe. I know that genetics can be weird. Update. I don't know if anyone will see this, as the subreddit I posted to doesn't allow updates after 48 hours, but hello if you do. Getting the bad news out the way first. My son isn't mine. I feel devastated and will be divorcing my wife. My wife and I had talked about our son a few days after my post, and my wife cracked under the pressure. She admitted to cheating on me without me even mentioning the test I had gotten done. All I asked was if she really thought our son looked white. I mean it when I say that if his skin never got darker, I wouldn't have known. She cried a lot and begged for forgiveness and told me that we can all still be a happy family. But my image of her shattered right then and there. I'm going through heartbreak, so forgive any mistakes. I'm currently living with my parents. I asked her when she even found the time to cheat on me, and she told me that she would leave her phone in a location and use another. She told me the cheating was a mistake and an accident, but how was it a mistake if you had it so planned out? We were trying for a baby around then, and she told me that she couldn't handle the pressure of it all and just wanted to escape. She didn't escape very well if she still got pregnant and acted like we were perfect. Thank you again to everyone. My wife will now be known as my ex-wife. I apologize to anyone who had hope and thought it was a baby switched at birth situation. I'm somewhat happy it wasn't, because that would be terrible, but extremely disappointed because that means he really isn't mine. There won't be any more DNA tests because she admitted to everything and showed me some text messages. There won't be any more updates from me either because I just want to move on with my life. I'll get everything sorted and figure out the whole custody thing. Thanks again, everyone. Goodbye. Next story. My 23F sister 30F is upset I babysit my friend's 23M and 22F baby over her nightmare kid. How can I get my family to understand that her kid is a nightmare? Throw away so my family doesn't connect this to my main. I'm a 23-year-old child-free woman. I key if this is needed for the story, and my sister is 30 with a 4-year-old son. She's a single mom, ex-husband is not in the picture, and has no contact with her or the kid. I'm gonna get straight to the point. That kid is a nightmare to be around. It's not his fault, it's my sister's fault. He very clearly has behavioral and mental health disorders, even at his young age. However, my sister was and is very ableist and refuses to accept that her son has problems. The kid screams bloody murder whenever something doesn't slightly go his way, screams and cries when he's overwhelmed, has meltdowns to certain sounds and textures. Like I said, I don't blame the kid for these issues, but my sister refusing to get him treatment or help makes the kid a nightmare to be around. So, as a result, I don't babysit the kid when my sister asks, more like demands I do so. This causes a lot of fights between us and our family. I have a friend, 23M, who's married to a wonderful lady aged 22, and they have a baby boy together who just turned 1. Yes, they got married and had him young, but it's not my place to judge them. This past weekend they asked me to babysit for them, and I agreed for a few reasons. Their kid is calm, well-behaved, and a general good kid slash toddler slash baby to be around. I love babysitting him. Also, they asked me nicely and understood that I might say no because I'm child-free. They were polite about their request. A thing about me is that if you ask me to do something politely, even if it's something I wouldn't usually agree to, I'd probably do it because you were nice and polite. So for these reasons, I happily agreed to babysit the boy. My sister also asked me to babysit her son that day so she could have a day to herself, and I refused and told her I was already babysitting for my friends. She was pissed, to say the least. She said a few comments about how I was an butt and not a good sister, but I thought she dropped it after that. This past weekend, while I was watching the baby, my sister started banging on my door. I looked through the window and saw that she had her kid and a care bag with her, and I knew she was trying to drop him off and make me babysit. She was banging on the door, yelling at me and calling me heartless and a baby hater while I was holding a baby, ironic, and that I better open up and do my sisterly duties. I put the baby in a different room to keep him from getting scared by the noise and told my sister through the window to leave, or I would call the cops. She started cursing for a solid 5 minutes before she finally left. I had the whole thing on my doorbell camera and sent it to the family group chat. Surprisingly, my whole family is on my sister's side. She keeps arguing with me about how I'd rather babysit a kid not even related to me over my nephew. I reminded her that her kid is a nightmare to be around, but she keeps saying that for family you help out. My sister has been cold since, and keeps sending me text messages to provoke me into arguing with her more. She's also started saying some pretty ableist and nasty things towards my friend's wife. My friend's wife is on the spectrum and has BPD, and my sister keeps saying that she should have been sterilized and never should have passed her issues to her kid BTW. Her kid has shown none of the signs that autistic infants usually show, so I dig what my sister is on. I will admit that I do feel a bit guilty because I never consider babysitting my nephew, but I jumped at the opportunity to babysit my friend's kid. My sister, dad 66, mom 64 and brother 33 are all calling me an butthole and saying that I'm just using the CF label to avoid family responsibility. I need advice on how to get my family to see my perspective on this. How can I explain to them that the issue isn't the idea of babysitting, but it's the behavior of the kid? Update. So, crap has hit the fan. My original post was about 3 days ago, and ever since that post my sister's behavior escalated. I tried to talk to her about getting help for my nephew, and she kept screaming at me every time I brought it up. She said a lot of derogatory terms towards people with mental illnesses and mental disabilities, terms I won't repeat here. That wasn't the only escalation. She was at my door several times a day starting 2 days ago, the day after I made my original post. Banging on my door, screaming, crying, cursing, the works. She brought my nephew each time, and he always looked so confused and defeated. He was too tired to react or melt down like he normally does around loud noises, and it broke my heart to see that on my doorbell camera. I wasn't at my house. I was crashing with my friend and his wife. I took the advice of a commenter who said to put some physical distance between me and my sister. They said I was free to stay as long as I wanted, as long as I helped out with some house chores and childcare while I stayed, which I thought was more than fair. So I'm staying in their guest room currently. I'm still with them, even though my sister isn't much of a problem. Many will be glad to know that my sister won't have parental rights over my nephew soon. She dropped him off at a safe haven site in the middle of the night. Totally a fun phone call to wake up to at 2 in the morning. And my nephew is currently with my parents. Social services placed him with my parents, and he's set to have mandatory therapy. In my state, don't know if it's different in others if a child is abandoned in any way, safe haven or not. A physical and mental health exam is done. Other than being a little bit underweight, my nephew was physically healthy. He wasn't being physically abused like a few people were worried. but it was obvious he needed mental health. So he'll be starting therapy sessions soon, as mandated by a caseworker. We are not looking for my sister. After she dropped her son off, she left. She had quit her job a few weeks back, sold her car, and even her house a few weeks ago, and had been renting a place, so this was planned. In my personal opinion, she planned to abandon her son the day I was babysitting my friend's baby, which is why she had such a nuclear reaction. She did leave a note, saying she can't do it anymore. She met someone, and that she doesn't want to be a mom to my nephew anymore. In her note, she said she deserves a normal kid, and not a burden like my nephew. I seriously hope that my sister doesn't have any more kids with this mystery person she's referencing. But it seems like she's running off to start a new life and family. She still has 30 days to reclaim rights over my nephew, but it doesn't look like she'll do that. Time will tell. Like I said, I'm still with my friends because I was worried my sister would do something. My parents and brother have also been blowing up my phone and coming to my house, switching between apologies and blaming me for this. They think that maybe if I babysat that day, she wouldn't have done this, but I think she wanted me to babysit so she could do this. I'm not mad at them for blaming me. I understand that my sister is still their family, and they're rightfully in shock and want someone to blame. They're human, and I know humans can be cruel sometimes while going through shock and grief. So, yeah, that's life right now. I'm currently sitting on the couch with my friend's baby, while my friend is at work and his wife does a quick grocery run. She was going to take the baby, but I insisted on watching him so she didn't have to hassle with the car seat in the very stormy weather we have in our area right now. This update is all over the place. I feel like I'm rambling. There's still a lot of unknown stuff regarding my sister and nephew. But for now, this is the update. I don't know if I'll post more regarding this situation. My friend's wife is telling me I should relax and just not think about anything relating to this until I'm more level-headed. But I don't think that's possible. Next story. Am I the butthole for moving out after my mom announced her pregnancy? I'm 22F. My mom is 37, and I have 3 younger siblings F14, F7, and M4. Me and the second oldest have different dads from each other and the other 2. They and this upcoming baby all have the same dad, our stepdad. I'm sorry if that was confusing. There are 3 dads in total, but only our stepdad is involved now. I was the babysitter and mom growing up. When my sister was born, I magically became mom despite not even being double digits. When the others came, I still was mom. I didn't get to have fun, go out, or be a kid. My job in the house was to cook, clean, raise my siblings, and deal with our mom. She was incredibly immature growing up and loved to drink, party, spend money on luxuries, and not be a mom. She acts more like a mom now, but a lot of the work still falls on me. She robbed me of my childhood, and I'm very bitter about it. The only reason I lived at home for so long was because no one could take me in, and I felt that I could tolerate it all for free rent and food. It was a good deal for me then, but I'm 22 now. I'm done being a mom when I don't even have kids. Last year, my stepdad's parents died in a car accident, and as their only child, he got everything. We all moved into their home and got a bit of money under our belts, so I guess they decided to have a baby. When my mom announced it, I asked if she was serious. She confirmed and asked me if I still had my diaper changing skills as a joke. I was silently livid. I dryly laughed and found some roommates online that night. The thought of wasting another 10+ years raising my siblings sounded like hell. She found out that I'm planning on leaving come August, and now she's irate calling me every name under the sun and selfish. She got my siblings involved, and the youngest is crying asking why I don't love them anymore and why I'm leaving. It's really low to use kids like that, and it hurts. I don't want to stay, but I don't want them to cry. I know I'm doing the right thing for myself, but is it the right thing for them? My mom never really parented growing up. She wouldn't, so I took over that role. I was the one who changed diapers and taught them their ABCs and all that. I was the one who cooked dinner and bathed them. I look at none of my siblings as siblings, but as my own kids because that's what they basically are. I don't think she'll be able to do a good job. She and my stepdad rely on me heavily in that category. Am I the butthole for leaving? I need advice on how to get over this feeling and move on. Edit. Holy crap, this kind of blew up when I wasn't expecting it to. Thanks everyone for the kind messages. You all are right, I need to go. My mom and stepdad need to figure it out. I'm going to talk to all 3 of my siblings and explain that me leaving is normal and a good thing. I'll always be a phone call away. I'm most worried about my 14-year-old sister though, and will not hesitate to get authorities involved if I suspect she's going through what I went through or she tells me herself. I'll be giving her a different type of talk soon to try and prevent her from becoming the new mom. Thanks everyone. If I update again, it'll be after I've already moved out. I really appreciate your guys' support. It's giving me the strength to do what's right even if it's hurting. My mom and stepdad can hire a babysitter with his inheritance if they really can't do it. Update. Hello everyone. I just want to say thank you again for your kind words and encouragement. You have no idea what they meant to me. I moved out and everything is going fine. My mom and stepdad blocked me, but my 14-year-old sister is so far doing fine. I talked to all my siblings individually, but it was rough in more ways than one. I had an explosive argument with my mom the day I left, but that was to be expected. She said nothing new. She called me selfish, a brat, a terrible daughter, and said that she wished she had aborted me. Nothing I haven't heard before. About a week or so before I moved out, I stopped doing most of the things I did before. My parents freaked out, and we had a lot of arguments, but I'm happy it's over with. Every time they saw me, a comment was said either to my face or under their breath. My mom would act like I was invisible and talk crap about me to whoever was around. She filled my siblings' heads up with crap, and I was incredibly stressed about it. I actually considered staying at that point. I was very close to just staying home, which I know will disappoint you all, but I almost did. This wasn't an easy transition for my siblings, and they're small. It hurt so bad watching them get wrapped up in all of this. My parents had no idea how to do anything for some reason. They had no patience and couldn't get the kids to listen to them. I know they didn't have much experience in childcare, but they were acting brand new. I had a really hard time watching them struggle and watching my siblings suffer because of it. I felt horrible and like I was neglecting them. School is also coming up very soon, and I used to always get them together, so that's going to be an upcoming problem. I'm happy that I won't be around for that, but I'm sad that I won't be. My little brother will be a kindergartner and my sister will be a freshman in high school. Those are huge milestones I wanted to be around for. But on the bright side, my sister is playing the incompetence card all on her own, and I love her for it. After our conversation about not turning out like me, she told me she'll pretend not to know how until mom stops asking her, which hasn't happened yet. Apparently mom asks her to cook, wash the kids, get them dressed, etc. Little gateway things that will spiral into her being the new mom. I'm proud of her for sticking to her plan for the few weeks that she has. She's a lot stronger than I thought she was. I really thought that I'd have to drill it into her to not do anything, but she's doing a lot better than expected. I just hope she doesn't crumble under the pressure. I know it's hard. In order to visit, I have to be welcomed back into the house, but that isn't going well since I'm blocked. I don't want my sister being the middleman even though she's already trying. I want to see everyone, but without permission, there's nothing I can do. And if anyone cares about my new move, my roommates are great. We played Monopoly our first night all settled in, and it was a great bonding experience. And they're very clean people. It seems so small, but holy crap. It's amazing. I'm loving my current arrangement and hoping it lasts. So yeah, I'm doing fine. My sister didn't take over my job, and I hope she never does, and my parents are losing their minds as expected. I can see their marriage falling apart in the future too. They can figure it all out and raise this one start to finish. Part of me is still feeling incredibly guilty for leaving, and I sometimes regret it. But my newfound freedom feels so good, and I'm reminded of why I left. I'm going to a bar later tonight with my roommates for the first time in my life to let loose and have fun. It feels so weird to say, but I feel like a teenager Elmao. Everything is so exciting and feels a bit illegal, like I'm out way past curfew. So thank you again, everyone. I don't think I'd have actually moved without your guys' words. Even though I found roommates, I don't think I could have left on my own. I wouldn't have committed and probably just stayed home. I'm not as strong as I thought I was. It really helped me make a decision when I thought about disappointing you guys. I've never met any of you, but having a cheerleader and knowing that so many of you saw my post and wrote me a kind message really helped. I couldn't be more grateful and excited to live my life. I thought it would be a great time to update since I'm going out tonight to have some fun. Someday all the guilt will be gone and I'll patch up my relationship with everyone. I still want to have a relationship with my mom someday if she'll change and allow it. As much as I say I hate her, I still sort of love her. She's still my mom. But until then, bye everyone. Thank you all so much. Next story. I was once again left out of my daughter's birthday pictures, and I'm done talking to my husband about it. Pretty much as the title says. My daughter turned 5 in the middle of last week, but yesterday we had her birthday party. We had it at the local trampoline park since that's her favorite place right now, lol. Because of my husband's work schedule, I did the majority of the planning. He did contribute financially, but I planned the theme, made the party reservation, ordered the cake, made the party favors act. My daughter is a huge daddy's girl, and thus, he is the favorite parent. She's only 5, so I don't hold it against her by any means, but it still definitely hurts. For health reasons, I can't jump with my daughter, but my husband was. They both had a great time, and so did the other kids that were there. But just like previous years, I'm the one behind the camera. I take all the pictures every year, and I'm not in any of them. I've spoken to my husband about my feelings before, but all I get are empty promises of how he will do better. Last year, we rented a room at the local conference center for her party, and I asked my grandmother to take pictures of me and my husband holding our child while we sang happy birthday and cut the cake. Instead of pictures, she took a video. Once again, no pictures of me. Call me old-fashioned, but I like printing pictures for photo albums, and I can't exactly print off a video. So another year of no pictures. After yesterday's party, we decided to take her gifts home rather than open them at the party. The kids had a very limited time at the park, so rather than spend 20 minutes opening presents, we figured it would be better to take them home and open them there so the kids had more time to play. Even while opening presents, I was behind the camera. My husband didn't think once that I should be in any of them. By the end of the day, I was very upset, and I'll give my husband credit for knowing when I am. But then again, I wasn't really hiding it. I went to say goodnight to my daughter because I had to be up early the next day. He followed me to talk to me. He said, "What's wrong? What did I do?" I just looked at him and said, "It's what you didn't do," for the 3rd year in a row. I just went to the bedroom and he didn't follow me. I'm just done. I'm so sick of his empty promises of doing better. Besides little things like this, he's a good husband and an amazing father. But it genuinely feels like there are times when he doesn't think about me at all. And if anyone thinks, well, why don't you just ask him to take pictures? I shouldn't have to. I'd like to think that my husband would want pictures of me and our child together. The last picture I remember him taking of me and our daughter was in a restaurant on my 29th birthday, and I asked him to take it. I'm so tired of this. At any time I could get sick or be in an accident and die, and the only pictures my daughter will have of me will be selfies I've taken. None of me on her birthdays or even holidays. Because of our crazy schedules, I won't see my husband again until next Sunday, unless he stays up all night to see me in the AM, which he sometimes does. Part of me wants to text him and lay it all out again, but the majority of my thoughts is to just give up on it. I told my husband for the 3rd year in a row, but it's probably been more than that. I don't recall seeing any pictures of me and her on her birthday or me even being in the background. I'm just so hurt and tired of it. Thanks for reading. Update. Thank you to everyone who read and commented on my post. There were a lot of supportive comments and some harsh ones, but I appreciate them all, as there were many who made some great points. Before I dive into the update, there are some comments that were made that I want to address. Many pointed out that my husband is probably just someone who wants to live in the moment, and I 100% agree. The biggest reason I was hurt was because of how many times I have spoken to him about my feelings and his constant promises to do better. However, like many said, he probably just doesn't think about it at the time. I don't think he does it on purpose or doesn't do it out of spite. He's probably having too much fun with our daughter and forgets, and I shouldn't have let it get to me too much. I still think I shouldn't have to ask, but we clearly have different views when it comes to special occasions. He wants to live in the moment, and I want to preserve the moments. With that said, please know that I don't constantly have a camera in my hand. I just use my phone to snap pictures every so often. I put the phone down so I can enjoy my daughter's parties and family gatherings too. I just wanted him to do the same for me on occasion. Many have said to just take selfies of me and her, and I do. I take a lot of them. I would just like pictures others have taken as well, or even just pictures of me there where I'm not necessarily posing. Just pictures of me playing with her or hanging out at the party with family and friends. Many suggested hiring a photographer, but that's not something we can really afford, but hopefully with our talk, we won't even need to consider it. On to the update. My husband and I spoke last night. When I don't have work the next day, I stay up late so I can spend some time with him, and I wanted us to finally talk. When he came home, we sat down. He says he still didn't fully understand what he did wrong, and I told him again how I wasn't in any pictures and how I have talked to him about this many times. I did say that I understand he was someone who more lives in the moment, but I just wanted to have proof that I was there too. That I was present at her parties and for her to have memories of me there. Our daughter is only 5 and she won't remember her parties or holidays from when she was younger. As she gets older, I know she will know I was there, but I also want her to see me in her younger years as she grows up. There were some tears and we apologized to each other. He promised again to do better, but I'm not gonna lie, I'll believe it when I see it, as he said that before lol, and I promise to be more understanding of his values. Going forward, I'll also ask family and friends to help take pictures so there are also more photos to save and not just mine. And yes, as many said, there will be times where I just flat out ask him to take pictures. Thank you again to everyone who commented on my last post. I appreciate the support and also the comments that made some great points about how each of us have different perspectives, and I need to be more understanding of his values and not just mine. Next story. My 34M wife 31F is having a meltdown over our daughter's personality, and I don't know what to do. What should I do? I'm a 34-year-old guy, and I have a 16-year-old stepdaughter. My wife is 31. In high school, my wife was a popular girl stereotype. Pink, blonde chunky highlights in her brown hair. This was the mid-late 2000s. She was on the cheerleading team, had lots of friends and boyfriends, was well-known and liked. She was basically the living embodiment of the picture-perfect girl from those cheesy 2000s high school movies. And then she got pregnant. When she was 15, she had her daughter. She doesn't know who the father is, and any potential fathers for the girl up and left way back when. Her daughter is recently 16. I never wanted kids, I found them annoying. But I fell in love with my wife and got married when she was 20 and I was 23 after dating for 2 years. We hit it off, and I married her and decided to suck it up around the kid. I never planned to absolutely love being a dad to her specifically. Kids still annoy me, but my daughter's stepdaughter technically was different. She was quiet, nerdy even at a young age. I married her mother when she was 5, and we clicked right away. We went on daddy-daughter dates every weekend. I played dolls with her. Let her paint my nails and do makeup on me. I drove her to and from school in my cop car. We even did daddy-daughter duo costumes for Halloween. Over the past 2 years, she's developed a darker dress style. I don't know what the proper subculture of her outfits are, but according to her, she's dressing like a horror game protagonist and a Monster High character. Purple is her main color she incorporates into this specific aesthetic blend, as she calls it. I don't get it, but maybe that's because I'm a man in my 30s, I don't know. She likes ghosts, tarot cards, vampires, zombies, aliens, creepy Victorian dolls. I don't get it, but also I don't care because if it makes her happy, so what? She's also an introvert and prefers to play games on her computer or read fantasy occult novels, rather than hang out with other teens her age. She has friends, so I'm not too worried about her being completely withdrawn. I'm just glad I don't have to drive her around since she only has a learner's permit currently. My wife hates this. My wife always wanted a girly girl. Pinks and pastels and flowers and all that. She wants our daughter to get a boyfriend, be more social, be a cheerleader like she was. Which, in itself, is valid. I get it. I'm sure most every parent has preferences for what they want their kid to turn out like. And some disappointment when they stray from that fantasy is valid. My wife will constantly takes and hides my daughter's darker room decor. She constantly gets pastel dresses for our daughter, tells her to wipe off her dark eye makeup, tries to set her up on dates with jock types from my daughter's school, and convince her to sign up for both school and summer activities like cheerleading or volleyball. I could have put up with all of that. I really could have. But a few weeks ago, I woke up to my wife finally hitting her breaking point. I woke up in the middle of the night to my wife screaming and having what I can confidently describe as a borderline meltdown. She was crying and saying all she ever wanted was a normal daughter who likes pink and is a cheerleader and has a boyfriend and will give her grandkids. I had to drag her out the hallway after 30 minutes of this. I kept thinking it would stop, but it kept going on and on. My daughter was just staring at this whole thing in the doorway of her room. What caused this meltdown from my wife? My daughter dyed purple over the blonde streakshalights my wife had forced her to get in her hair, which wasn't even breaking a house rule, as my wife and I have both told her she can do whatever she wants with her hair as long as she doesn't stain too many towels. It's been weeks, and my daughter won't talk to her mom. My wife is still up with her antics, but now it's in overdrive. Every day she brings home some type of trendy clothing in pink or pastels and tries to give it to my daughter. My daughter is getting fed up and stays in her room all day, and has confessed to me she can't wait for school to start back up in a few weeks so she can get out the house and be with her friends again. I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. I don't want to side with anyone in this situation. I understand my wife wants a daughter who she can relate, and my daughter wants a mom who understands her. I don't know what I can or should do. I need help. I need advice. Update. It's been about a week since I last posted about how my wife was having a meltdown over how my daughter chose to dress. 2 nights after I posted, I sat my wife down and very bluntly asked her what exactly the problem was. She kept saying she just wanted a daughter who was similar to her. But after I kept asking, she broke down and admitted the real reason why she was having her meltdowns. My wife feels that her daughter is the only way for her to have more family in the future. She's estranged from her siblings. Her parents don't speak much to her, and all of her friends from high school stopped talking to her after her pregnancy. She wants a family back, and she's hoping that her daughter will marry a nice boy and give her grandkids so she can have a family again. She said she never brought up having more kids with me because she figured I'd be against the idea. I don't know how I feel about having more kids with my wife, but it certainly won't happen now. So my wife is in therapy to try and get her to realize that she can't just view my daughter as a way to create a family. She's doing well so far, but it's too soon to really tell. My daughter is also in therapy. She's been in therapy since she was a kid for bullying issues, but now her therapist is trying to focus on the meltdown situation with her. My daughter actually seems relatively unaffected by this whole situation other than a little annoyed. so I don't know if that's good or not. I took my daughter to Hot Topic for some back-to-school accessories and then took her out to eat, just the two of us. She's still excited to go back to school. She misses her friends and her clubs. My wife and daughter have started talking normally again. They had a long talk, which I was present for, where my wife apologized for being so pushy and extreme with her wishes. My daughter was well receptive to this talk and seems to be back to her normal self. I am keeping an eye on both of them to be sure. My wife is doing her best to understand my daughter's interests. Last I know, the two were watching some slasher TV show on Hulu as a way to bond, and it appears to be working. There isn't any bad blood between the two. I know things are soon, and that things can change, but so far everything appears to be smoothing over pretty well. Thank you for all the advice, harsh and gentle, that I reviewed through my original post. It definitely slapped me in the face as what could happen if I didn't get both of them help and make them talk it out. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel James Stories.